All right, welcome back live. We continue right here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller. Chris, real quick before we go to the Lions, because they're jumping tonight. Dabo Swinney was upset, more than upset. He doubled down on that tonight, accusing Florida State of being pretty much chicken and didn't want to play that game, used COVID as an excuse. The COVID test was done on a Clemson player who they isolated, and yet they didn't play the game 3 hours before they called it. Meantime, Pitt had 16 people not play because of COVID and played their game and won by over 30 points. So what gives? Who's right, who's wrong?
I think Dabo just comes off looking like a complete goof here. His own quarterback had it, and he should understand the gravity of what could happen if somebody has it, especially one of those linemen, and they get it, and because of maybe their weight or how, just how big they are, it doesn't go well. I just think he comes off unbelievably tone deaf. It was a negative test, and then the same player was on the flight with the entire team and then tested positive. If you don't like that, well, then you be mad at the protocols and say that the protocols aren't good enough. But if you're Florida State and you know that the team you're playing had a guy end up testing positive who was around all of his teammates on that plane while he thought he was negative, I could understand why you'd be a little concerned. Ducking them? Come on. Then every team on Clemson's schedule should duck them until the college football playoff if they don't want to get beat real bad. I think that's ridiculous. He comes off just sounding frankly, sounding like the kind of college football coach that drives me nuts, completely lost in his own little world and incapable of seeing any kind of the picture outside of himself.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say this, the ACC needs to have a louder voice, too. They just let these teams decide on their own. The conference itself is kind of just like washing its hands of everything and just saying, okay, figure it out on yourself. Well, that's not the way to go, too. All right, let's go to Justin in Bridgeville, our first caller tonight. What's up, Justin? How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're good.
All right, so the Steelers, I feel like they are one of the most disrespected 10-0 teams of all time. Now, I understand the Chiefs. They are playing amazing. They got Mahomes. He's a beast. But, we need to put some respect on the Steelers. And I'm not saying it's you guys. It's more so the national media. But the Steelers, they are the only team, maybe outside of Oakland, Las Vegas, my bad, that I think that can actually challenge Kansas City. And I think they deserve to have some respect and be put in the same conversation in terms of contending for the Super Bowl. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Justin. I agree, essentially, what you're saying. I think the Steelers do have a chance if they play them in one game, and it's a very meaningful game in the playoffs. It could be the AFC Championship game. I do think they have the defense that can somewhat contain Mahomes. Well, we saw last night what he can do, and that's the difference right there, that guy and what he can make. However, I think the Steelers are kind of liking this getting dissed on a regular basis. Roethlisberger's not involved in MVP conversations. Chase Claypool's name is not prevalent when it comes to Rookie of the Year, which I don't understand. So, Chris, maybe they like that. Maybe they're using that as motivation. Who knows?
Maybe. There's also the component where they haven't played on national television in a while, correct? When was the last time they played a primetime game? I think that's part of it. You're on these 1 or 4 o'clock starts even. And in the 4 o'clock case against Dallas, it's Garrett Gilbert, so it's not the kind of matchup everyone thought it would be. I think once the Steelers get a national television game like this Thursday, you're going to hear a lot more about that. Are they disrespected? Maybe. But, it's understandable. Mahomes is a force of nature. I will say this. The Steelers are way better than the Raiders. The Raiders play the Chiefs tough. That's inarguable based on what's happened this year. Steelers are a better team. The Saints, the Bucks, the Steelers, and the Chiefs. I will be very surprised if the Super Bowl champion doesn't come out of one of those, isn't produced by one of those 4.
Wow, you're not going to give the Eagles or the Cowboys or Washington or any of those teams.
How about that? How about that? Can we just, I know we don't talk European soccer over here, but there are people familiar enough with the Premier League. Just relegate the entire NFC East, because here's what you know is going to happen. Okay, we had Michael Irvin on the show today. It was awesome, and we were joking. I said, Michael, maybe the Cowboys can make a run and finish at 7-9. He goes, are you kidding me? We're more likely to win this division at 5-11. The Eagles or somebody's going to go in at 5-10-1. You mark my words. They're going to go in as a 5 or 6 win team and win their first playoff game, and people are going to pull their hair out as a result, like me.
Right. Well, you've already done that enough. You must have been. This will be the first time you'll see less than a 7-9 team. I think that's pretty much assured of winning a division, no less, and getting in. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's go to Ed in Castle Shannon. Hello, Ed. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
We're good. Thank you.
Good. Hi, Chris. Hey, the Steelers looked good yesterday. It's the first time in 10 years they covered when they were a double-digit favorite. And I'm taking the Steelers. I already bet them -4.5 against Baltimore. And another question is, did Spillane play yesterday for the Steelers, or is he hurt or something?
No, he played.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Avery
Oh,
Williamson.
he played a ton.
Did.
I thought that was a story, Bob. I thought that was an interesting story. Is that Avery Williamson, and maybe it's the luxury of being 10-0 here, and maybe it is Spillane doing A-OK. Now it's against a bad team that can't really hurt them with Jake Luton. But they've continued to give Spillane snaps. I think for at least the time being, have to admit being wrong. I thought they were paying it lip service, and as soon as Williamson got up to speed, he'd be in, but that hasn't been the case.
No, and Spillane's earned the spot. He hasn't given up the spot, and right now Mike Tomlin even said today the Spillane is doing the job. So you don't expect to see Avery Williamson, and that's good to have a guy back there that kind of depth because they needed it after the injury to Devin Bush. Let's go to Al in Bethel Park, who's on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Hello, Al.
Bob, love the show.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, Chris, I'm going to say this right now. To me, the leading candidate for MVP should be Ben Roethlisberger, and I'll give you the reasons why. Steelers are only team in the NFL to score at least 24, 25 points. The team is undefeated, and the most important reason of all, look at the team last year with the quarterback, and look at the team now. There is not even night and day between Duck Dodgers, Mason Rudolph, and Ben Roethlisberger. Any other team with the same quarterback, Mahomes, Rodgers, and Russell Wilson, they're about the same team. This team is completely night and day with Ben Roethlisberger. Add all those three things up, it's not even close. Ben Roethlisberger should be the leading candidate for the MVP. Chris, I want to hear your thoughts. Good job, guys.
All right, quickly here. If you took Patrick Mahomes off the Chiefs, what would they look like? I don't like that argument. It's true for Roethlisberger, but guess what? It's true for any elite quarterback. Subtract them from their team, and you have a vastly different team. Two, the thing about the Steelers being unbeaten, Pony said this on the show today, and Bob, maybe I'll throw this one to you because I said it to him, and I didn't like the way he answered it. I didn't think it was a good argument. He said that the undefeated part is a huge component for Ben. So let me ask you this. Say they play the Ravens, they lose 38-35. Jackson has the game of his life, but Ben throws for 380 and 5 touchdowns. Does he somehow become a worse candidate because they're a one-loss team than if he throws a touchdown and they win 27-10 in this game? Like, how do you square that? I don't buy that part at all. If they go undefeated and he puts up really good numbers like he's been putting up, he'll win it. But the undefeated part should be secondary to how great or not great he is.
Well, listen, I largely agree with what you said, but I do think record comes into play. When you have a team that hasn't had a good record, it affects that person, whoever may be on that team, because your value diminishes. I just think that stands to reason. But I agree with what you're saying here. If he has a big game and he loses because somebody else outduels him specifically, that doesn't mean he's any lesser of a candidate. But I think it's clear to me the three choices I would make, Chris, are Roethlisberger, Pat Mahomes, and then I put Aaron Rodgers in there too. I think people, even though they lost yesterday to Indianapolis, which I think is going to be a tough game for Pittsburgh, I have to put him in that conversation. Do you?
Yeah, I think those are my three right now. I thought the Colts defense was actually startling how good they were in the second half. But for me, it's Mahomes, and then it's probably just a tie between the next two guys. And Roethlisberger, if he continues to have big games, if he's throwing 3, even 4 touchdowns, and the Steelers keep chugging along, rest assured, everybody, they go 16-0, and he throws like 39 touchdowns and 6 picks. He is going to win the MVP award, I assure you.
All right, now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. And this comes to us from Ryan Shazier. And I was honored to interview him tonight before he made this announcement, and we kind of kicked it off for him. But it's a great work that he's doing. It's his life's work now. It's the Ryan Shazier Fund for Spinal Rehabilitation. He said, I'm truly excited to announce the Ryan Shazier Fund for Spinal Rehabilitation. My team and I have been working behind the scenes to find ways to continue to push forward and progress for the spinal community. One step at a time, we will change how people view spinal injuries. And boy, he's come a long way. He has been an inspiration, and now he's taken it to another level. He wants to help a lot of people, Chris, who helped him along the way, and he hasn't forgotten any of that, and he's trying to make a difference in people who have real problems here in Western Pennsylvania.
I thought it was unbelievably powerful. I think just a quick snippet of what he had to say about his injury when he said, for a guy that dreamed of being nothing but a football player, to talk about how in some ways he has inspired more people in a broader group of people because of the way he's handled his injury and shown that, physically he could bounce back and work hard to get to that point. I thought that was an unbelievably mature and moving way to kind of look at what he could look at. And no one would blame him for looking at it as like, hey, my career, my dream got dashed. The fact that he has turned it into something positive, I think, speaks volumes about the man, Ryan Shazier.
Yeah, and he is quite a man, quite a champion. We're going to take a break, come back with more of your calls. It's 412-575-2600 right here live on Pittsburgh CW.